Hey Econ students, happy Tuesday of e-learning week. It is very good to virtually see all of you again. Thank you for bearing with me at the end of last week as I stayed home those last 2 days and for getting all that work done on Schoology. I know that it wasn't maybe the most exciting and it kind of sucked that we were supposed to be finishing a unit and then it didn't work and you had to take the unit test online. So that kind of stinks, but we're going to be moving on today. So to make sure that you are on the right track, you should be watching this video on Tuesday. Monday, you should have already completed the Unit 3 quiz, which has been put on Schoology, and that's the quiz about, GDP, unemployment, and the business cycle. Just 25 questions. It should take you pretty quickly. So if you haven't already done that, you should do that now before starting this video. But today, I just want to do just a quick short video, just so that we have some sort of interaction. You don't have to just read and answer questions or anything like that. I want to make this easy on you. I know that you're going to be doing this all week for all of your classes, so I want to make this as easy as it can be on you. So we're going to be moving on today and talking about different types of taxes, and specifically we're going to be talking about income taxes today, and there's two different types of income taxes that are being debated in America and specifically in our state. So I think this actually might be useful to you. So my expectation right now is that you've got 3 tabs open. So you should have this video open as you're listening to the beautiful sound of my voice. Also on Schoology then, there's 3 documents total. So there's this video, there's the flat versus progressive tax notes that are on the Google Slides presentation that I've shared with you. And then the flat versus progressive tax Google Doc that you'll be filling out as we go along together, and that's what you will submit to Schoology. Remember, we need some sort of evidence that you're actually doing something during the e-learning week and that I'm actually doing something during the e-learning week. So that should be submitted by the time that you're finished with this video and by the end of today, which is Tuesday. So let's get started first talking about a flat tax. So it's the first thing, it's the first slide in your Google Slides. It's the first thing that is at the top of your Google Doc. And first, starting with the definition there, is that the flat tax takes the same percentage of income from all taxpayers. And so here we're talking about an income tax, but it could be different types of taxes too. That we're talking about the same percentage, no matter how much money you make, everyone has to pay the same percent. So in Illinois, we currently have a flat income tax, which means everybody in Illinois, no matter if they make $1 million or $50,000 a year, they're paying 4.95% taxes to the state based on that income. So we can talk about some pros and cons of these. First, I think the first pro is that it seems fair, right? Everyone is paying the same percentage of tax no matter how much money you make. So if you're poor, you're going to pay less money, and if you're rich, you're going to be paying more like physical dollars, but it's going to be the same percentage across. So I think that's one pro maybe that's from the beginning. I think that it will become clearer your pros and your cons as we do some of the math together, which this is also going to be on your Google Doc. So if you look at your Google Doc with me right now, so if you should have the definition of a flat tax right now, you have one benefit of a flat tax that I just talked about. It at least seems fair that everyone's saying having to pay the same percentage. We'll talk about drawbacks, and any that you can think of should go into that box. I want you to scoot down on your Google Doc to the Doing the Math section, debating the state income tax. So in that bold and italicized there, it says the current Illinois state income tax is a blank tax. Everyone pays 4.95%. Well, it's currently a flat tax. Everyone pays 4.95% no matter how much money you're making. So I want to actually do the math with some of you here, and this should be fairly simple math, and I don't want to make you do more math than necessary on an e-learning week. So just in these brackets here, so I've got these questions for you. I just think that this helps us make sense. So if you're making $50,000 a year, in state income taxes, of course you're paying federal income taxes and you're paying all types of different taxes, but just to the state on your income, we're going to multiply this by 4.95%, which when broken down to a decimal is 0.0495. I've already done the math here, and that comes out to $2,475. So just in state income taxes, if you are making $50,000 a year, you're paying $2,475 a year to the state. And and the state uses that for schools and roads and bridges and to pay down the debt and for whatever the government sees fit, but you're paying that directly to the government. So let's say then, if you are lucky and you're making $250,000 a year, you're making 5 times as much as this person making only $50,000 a year. Well, you're actually going to be paying just 5 times as much in taxes. So it's just $250,000, again, times that same flat tax rate, 0.0495. And again, I've done the math already. You're paying $12,375 in taxes. Again, you're also paying income taxes to the federal government. This is just to the state of Illinois. So you're paying, this person is paying way more than $12,000 in taxes per year in total taxes. But in state income taxes, this is all they're making. Now let's say that you're very, very lucky and you're making $1 million a year. Well, it's just the exact same math. So it's 1 million, I think that's 6 zeros, right? Times 0.0495. And I've done the math here. You're paying $49,500 in state income taxes to the state of Illinois. So all of this should make sense, because if you make $50,000, a person who's making $1 million is making 20 times more than you, so they're paying 20 times more in taxes. That makes sense. That should be true of a flat tax no matter. However, if someone's making double the amount of money, they're paying double the amount of taxes because everyone is paying that same flat tax rate. Make sure that you've got this down at the bottom of the Google Doc. You should have at least one benefit now. If you can think of other benefits, write those down. If you can think of drawbacks, I'm not going to go through any with you, but think about how maybe this is not fair. And then you should have the completed part for doing the math, debating the state income tax. You could have those first 3 questions answered about the flat tax. We're going to get into a progressive tax next. So let's take a look next at a progressive income tax then. So if you're looking at with me, I'm on the 3rd slide of the Google Slides now, and you can kind of navigate where we are at the Google Doc. I'm going to give you the definition of a progressive income tax. We'll maybe talk about some benefits and drawbacks, and then we're going to do the math with this one as well. So a progressive income tax is really, this definition just hits it all home, is that the higher the income, the higher the taxation rate. There's this very common misconception, and I want to make sure that this is very clear, is that if you make $1 million, all of your $1 million is taxed at a higher rate. And that's not true. We're going to walk through and specifically do the math here, because that's a common misconception about how a progressive income tax works, and it's not. So if you take a look on the 4th slide of the Google Slide notes, you can see Governor J.B. Pritzker actually in November there's going to be a referendum on your ballot. So if you are eligible to vote and you plan on voting, you will be seeing this in November, that he wants to move Illinois away from the flat income tax and move towards a progressive income tax. So if you're on your Google Doc, that's on your 2nd slide there. Governor J.B. Pritzker wants to change the Illinois income tax to a progressive tax, where the higher the income, the higher the taxation rate. But you can see that there's kind of like these weird brackets, right? So from $0 to $10,000, you're getting taxed at 4.75, and from 10,000 to 100,000, it's 4.9. So the misconception that I want to break here is that if you're making, say, $90,000 a year, you're going to be taxed on all 90,000 of those dollars at a 4.9% tax rate. That's not true. Don't listen to what I just said there. That is definitely what we're going to be combating against. So I think if we do the math again with the progressive income tax, you can see it's a little bit more work to figure out how much you're going to pay in taxes, but when you put it side by side with the flat income tax, I think this will help you with the drawbacks and benefits of the 2 taxes that you're going to finish on your Google Doc. So let's talk about our person here that's making $50,000 a year, and I have in red here what they're paying right now in flat taxes in Illinois. So they're paying $2,475 on that income. So let's talk specifically then about the proposed progressive income plan. So what's key here is that you see in the tax brackets, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my laptop over at the side here. I feel like a weatherman, but that's why I'm looking over here. You see it says from $0 to $10,000, you're getting charged 4.75%. So that's everybody. For your first $10,000 that you make, you're getting charged that tax rate. If you're only making $10,000, that's all that you're going to be taxed. But everybody for your first $10,000 that you make, so I'm going to put that in here, $10,000, and the tax rate is 0.0475. So you can see this is actually lower than the current flat tax rate. So maybe this is one of the benefits, is it helps the poorest people of Illinois. If you're only making $10,000 a year, you're actually going to be saving a little bit of money because your taxation rate is going to be less than that flat tax rate. But this person isn't making only $10,000, they're making $50,000. So you can see that next tax bracket then is they say from your $10,000th to your $100,000th dollar, you're going to be taxed 4.9%. Well, this person isn't making $100,000. They're only making, in that bracket, the only money that's going to be taxed is from their $10,000 to their $50,000th dollar. So we can do some math there. 50,000 minus 10,000 then is 40,000. So we're going to add then their next $40,000 are being taxed at a 4.9% tax rate. And then that's it. That's all the money that they're making. So these two numbers should add up to each other. 40,000 and 10,000 equals 50,000. That's how I know that I've done it right here. So I've done the math already here. So this comes out to 475, and then this comes out to 1,960. And together then they come up together to $2,435. I know that I'm writing small here. I'm sorry that you can't see it. If you can see it, but if you can, it's also weird that I have a whiteboard, but you already know that I'm a nerd like that. So, looking at the progressive income tax, they're paying $2,435, which is very similar. They're saving a little bit of money. They're saving $40 a year from the flat tax, but you can see they're not paying any more money with the progressive income tax, and that should make sense to you because look at these two tax rates, 4.75 and 4.9. We know that both of those are less than the current flat tax rate of 4.95, so it makes sense that they're paying a little bit less in taxes. So let's say again that you are lucky and you are making $250,000 a year. You're going to be paying more or less in taxes. That's what we want to find out. So this is very similar. We're going to start in a similar place with this person who is making $50,000 a year. Their first $10,000 are also taxed at a 4.75% rate. This time we don't have to do any type of tricky math because they're making $250,000. So from $10,000 to $100,000, if you're looking at that graph that I'm looking at right now, from $10,000 to $100,000, they're getting taxed at 4.9. So do some math there. 100,000 minus 10,000 is 90,000. So their next $90,000 is being taxed at a 4.9. Then they still are making even more money. So then from their 101,000th dollar to their 250,000th dollar, they're being taxed a different rate at 4.95%. So we can do that math there. They are making exactly $250,000. So 250 minus the 100,000 minus 100,000 is 150,000. I'm slanting here. And that's going to be charged at 4.95. And then again, if we do the math here, these three numbers should add up to their total income. So 150,000 plus 90,000 plus 10,000 is equal to 250,000, so I know that we've done it right. So now again, let's do some math here. Again, this is going to be 475 is going to be taxed from their first $10,000. Then for their next $90,000, it comes out to $4,410. And then their next $150,000 is $7,425. And then, of course, we just add all those up together. And they're paying, in total, $12,310 in state income taxes if a progressive tax were to pass Illinois. So you can see, again, this person is actually saving about $65 per year. Not a whole lot. But you could say a lot of times progressive taxes are thought like really, really rich people are going to be paying more in taxes. But $250,000, you ain't doing too bad for yourself. You're making $250,000 a year. And even people who are making that much money are actually saving money with the progressive income tax. I think that that's interesting. So let's look at people who are very, very rich and wealthy. They have $1 million a year. So it's going to be a very similar process. Their first $10,000, just like everybody else, is taxed at a 4.75% tax rate. And then a lot of this math we can borrow. they're making their next $90,000 are taxed at 4.9. Then their next 150,000 is taxed at 4.95. But then you can see, if you're looking at the graph like I am right now, you can see now that really is the jump up. So if you make above $250,000 in Illinois, that's really going to affect you if a progressive income tax were enacted. So see, look at there, from $250,000 to $500,000, you get taxed at a 7.75, much higher than the other rates and much higher than the current flat tax rate of 4.95. So this person's next $250,000 is taxed at a, 7.75% tax rate. Then you can see, we're still not done. 250,000 plus 150,000 is 400,000. And then plus 90,000 and 10,000, this is only 500,000. They have $500,000 more that they still need to pay taxes on. And you can see that fits in very nicely into the next bracket. So the next bracket up from that is your $501,000th to your millionth dollar gets taxed at 7.85. So that fits in nicely then with here, so we know their next $500,000 get taxed at 7.85. And again then, let's do some of this math. So we can do 475. This is their first $10,000, they're paying $475 in taxes on that. Their next $90,000, I'm just going to borrow from the work that we already did over here. They're paying $4,410 on that. Their next $150,000, they're paying $7,425. Here's where we've got some of our new math. So now they've got $250,000 times the 7.75% tax rate. That is $19,375. And then their last $500,000, that's where they're being taxed the most at a 7.85% tax rate. That comes out to $39,250. So in total, if a progressive state income tax were to pass in Illinois, a person making $1 million, if we added all of these up, would be paying $70,935 in state income taxes. Here's really where we see the first big difference, right? Under the current flat tax system, they're paying $49,500. We've already done that work in the first part of this video. If a progressive tax were to be passed, they're paying $70,000. So they're paying about $20,000 more in taxes per year. Whereas these two people are actually paying, marginally less. So it barely feels like anything. This is $40. But people who are making less are not going to be paying more under a progressive income tax system. They're going to be paying actually a little bit less. Really, only once you hit above $250,000 in annual income are you going to start paying more. You could do this then, we could, if I gave you, if a person was making $100,000 a year or $78,000 a year, you should then be able to figure out now exactly what they would be paying in yearly taxes based on a flat tax system and based on a progressive tax system. So that's our goal for today. If you can now tell me the difference between a flat tax system and a progressive tax system, you are on board. The last thing then in that Google Doc sheet, if you've been following along and you've done the math together, again, this should be pretty easy for you. The last question then is really what I'm most interested in hearing what you have to say, is which one of these seems most fair to you? And again, part of the reason we're talking about this is in the curriculum, but also if you're watching this on Tuesday, it's election day, so part of your civic duty. If you are eligible to vote, get out and vote. But in November, again, J.D. Pritzker, this is going to be on your ballot. He's putting out to the people of Illinois, hey, do you think that we should move to a progressive state income tax system? And now you're a little bit more knowledgeable about that. You should be able to say whether you think it does or it does not. So if you just finished that last question on the Google Doc, which one do you think is more fair and why? Note that I wrote in there I'm expecting at least 3 sentences. Give me a little bit of reasoning. Show me that you watched these videos, that you understand what the heck we're talking about. And then you're good for today then. You're done for Tuesday. So thanks for sticking with me.